These are your hostesses, by the way.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
You're
This is
blocking.
Daniela Zaradnikova, and Sarah Herbert Galloway and I are so glad to have hosted this for our wonderful friend Mitzi Perdue. So thank you all for coming.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Space 16 in Soho. And it seems the weather is cooperating, Mitzi.
Wonderfully.
Good job. I told you to send the email.
I worked so hard on it.
Thank you so much. And I'll pass the mic to Sarah.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming in this weather, but at least it's not snowing. This book signing was very special for Lorraine and I, who tried to do this around Christmas, and it didn't quite work out. And ironically, after Jim Luce's Luce Foundation event, we all went to dinner at the Palm, spoke about it in front of Daniela, and I said, I hope we get to do your book signing soon. And Daniela said, well, what's wrong with Space 16? I said, nothing. So here we are in beautiful Space 16, and it all came together nicely and without a lot of trying, because it was meant to be, and I think everyone here was meant to be here tonight. And I think that Mitzi's book is very inspirational, and all the proceeds of it will go to charity, which you'll hear about, and Mitzi was very generous in offering that. And I don't want to take up your time, but thank you for coming.
Thank you so much to Sarah, Daniela, and Lorraine. I really, really appreciate what you've done. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a theory about all of you,
half of your audience.
which is that nobody wants to stand up for a long time. So I've decided that I am only going to talk for exactly 8 minutes. I have something that's going to go bing when 8 minutes are up. But before I have my 8 minutes, I've invited 2 other people to speak. And this has to do with the fact that this is really a fundraiser. Everything that is sold today, the profits of it are going to go to 2 organizations which have something amazing in common from my personal point of view, which is I love what they stand for, and I love the people who head them. In view of which, I would like the person that part of the proceeds from this are going to go to is the head of ICAMI, the International Committee Against Mental Illness. And I would like Bob Cancro to explain what it's about and why we all should support this wonderful thing. And as he's on his way up, it does have something to do, among other things, with PTSD. Uncle Bob. It's not really my uncle, but honorary.
I will try to keep it brief. I have to apologize. I have a little laryngitis, which is an occupational hazard. But ICAMI was set up as a foundation around 1960 when Nathan Klein and a few friends took a vacation in Haiti. Why? Because it was cheap. And being psychiatrists and interested in psychiatry, they went to visit the local mental hospital, found that the patients were in chains, receiving no medication, and they had no psychiatrist. They were shocked, started the organization, trained the psychiatrist, got the pharmaceutical industry to donate medication, taught them how to use it, and continued to work in the third world, primarily in sub-Saharan Africa, but also Haiti, was always been involved in Haiti. And that was how the organization started. They did things as simple as sending journals and textbooks to poor countries that would help them because they couldn't afford to buy it in hard currency. We've been involved in a number of things, including rehabilitation of the chronically ill, and more recently have been involved with brain injury, including traumatic brain injury and PTSD, which is in fact a form of brain injury. We are looking now at some non-pharmacologic approaches to re-regulate the brain through experience and through magnetic stimulation. We're also working with children with autism using literally theater, singing and dancing and practice movement to improve their learning skills. And so far the results look very encouraging. And this as an adjunct to their educational program improves their ability to read and learn. The background background of this, obviously, is that the basis of cognition is emotion. Movement is the basis of thinking. And we're interested in looking at program movement. It's taught what you put here, you do this, you move here rhythmically, and we're looking at whether it makes a difference in your educational quality. So far, it looks encouraging. And basically, we're also looking at some physiological interventions, since we're physicians and scientists. So we want to look at both environmental influences and physiological influences. And that's what we do to pass the time. Thank you.
The other organization which is receiving whatever proceeds come from the sale of books today comes from Jim Lewis. And Jim, I would like you to explain just why the Lewis Foundation is so utterly, completely, totally over the top fabulous.
My sister always exaggerates things. I don't know. Mitzi, it's so great to be here. One of my hobbies is writing for the Huffington Post, and one of the best books I've ever reviewed in the Huffington Post is Mitzi's book on Frank Perdue. So
I love you!
that's very, very exciting, and I hope you all will pick up a copy, and I'm sure she will autograph it for you if you do. And it's a really, really, really good read. I had a date that flew me to London, and we came home on the Queen Mary too. And so I didn't quite know what to do with my time, so I read the Frank Perdue biography and read a review of it. And that's how I spent my Atlantic crossing. It was wonderful. It was a lot of fun. The foundation has just partnered with Marietta College in Ohio that writes a lot for the New York Times website. And we've been asked to come up with half of the summer reading list on leadership. And so, of course, Mitzi's leadership book, which was written for graduate students in business colleges as well as for all people, is at the top of the list and will be this summer on the New York Times website's Leadership Summer Reading List, which is quite exciting. So congratulations. So I worked on Wall Street for 25 years, and then my parents passed away and left some money, and so now we have a family foundation supporting young global leadership. And we try to do whatever we can uplifting of the world. I actually inherited a very small amount. Some people inherit big amounts. Some people don't inherit anything. But the bottom line is if we all got involved and cared for our neighbor, for homeless people down the street, for the local food pantry, whatever it was, if we all just get involved and do something, then the world would be a better place. Our shtick is supporting young global leadership, oftentimes in the developing world, but also here in New York. And I just encourage everybody, wherever you are, to think internationally, act locally, and do whatever you can to support the Mitzi Perdues and everyone else in the world, because we have so many wonderful neighbors making it a better place. And I'm just so proud to call Mitzi a friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hey, there was a kiss on the I am going to start talking about the book, but first I'm going to check the time because I did make a commitment to you by 1:15. I will shut up.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But before I do, I wanted to give a plug to our dear Daniela.
Oh, again?
Yes, you. Well, first of all, thank you for hosting this. But actually, I had a different reason for mentioning your name. Because I wandered in here and started looking at clothes. And I saw this dress on one of the hangers, and I bought it. So anybody who wants to, not to mention the necklace. So I am attired by Daniela. Thank you. Oh, I get people in the window. Now I've got like 4 minutes left. And I'm going to read you a passage from the book in my 4 minutes. But I want to make sure that I picked something that would be interesting to you. So I'm going to give you 2 choices. One is Frank was a coach. He didn't build a company that reached from a father and son operation to one that employed 19,000 people at the time of his death and that sells its products to 113 different countries today. The way he did it, in my opinion, was because he was a teacher and a coach. And I wrote this book, at least in part, to share with other people some of the life and business reasons that he was a success. And the book really is written almost as a textbook. I tell stories and then I draw conclusions from it. And by the way, it did make number 6 on Amazon's business biographies. Yay!
Yay!
Oh my God. Anyway, choice number 1 is to talk a little bit about some of what it took to do that. Choice number 2, since all of us have had some adult beverages, and I hope we're in something of a party mood. Choice number 2, and I'm going to ask you by show of hands. In a moment I'll ask you which of the two. Frank is a romantic. Probably most of you know him as a businessman, but he was also a very romantic person. So, which would you rather hear about? What were some of the personality traits that enabled him to build a huge business? That's choice number 1. Choice number 2 is romantic. Choice number 1, raise your hands if that's it. Choice number 2, romantic. Yay!
We want to hear the scandal part of it. The scandal part of your romance, right? And how he proposed to you. That's what we wanted.
I can talk about all of that. Okay, well, I'm hunting for, will you announce it?
Indeed, dear guests, you can actually step back here. There is plenty of room.
All right, and while you're moving this way, actually, I can talk and you can walk at the same time. This is towards the end of the book, because most of it really is about business and personality traits that he encourages in others, but we're now into romance. And if there's time for a question period, I would love to talk about scandal, but for the moment, Frank is romantic. I was impressed that Frank, as a captain of industry and a tough man, had a romantic side. He'd always send me 24 red roses at Valentine's, and something that really impressed me, touched and moved me, delighted me, was he'd include with the roses some wonderful little handwritten love messages, always in French. I have a favorite memory of this side of Frank. He was a passionate tennis fan and would go to Wimbledon each year for the matches. One year, as we walked to the tube on our way to get to where the matches were being played, we passed a store window that was the most enchanting china pattern in it. It was gold and green and had beautiful birds painted on it. I could see it on our dining room table during a dinner party, along with gorgeous white linens and tall candles. They were so beautiful, I yearned for them. And of course, I began thinking maybe they'd be nice to have. Each time we walked by them, which was maybe 6 times because we were there a week, I'd hint and hint and hint while I was bored. Nothing seemed to register. We were leaving London on Sunday morning, and on Saturday, I knew the shop closed at 6 p.m. That Saturday evening, I watched with a heavy heart as 6 p.m. came and went, and the store was now closed. No more chance of getting that lovely china. A half an hour or so later, Frank suggested that we go out for dinner. We got in a cab, and pretty soon the cab pulled up at a restaurant that was just next door to the shop with the china. I felt a twinge of sadness to be so near the china that I thought was so beautiful, now with no possibility of ever getting it. We got out of the cab and were heading toward the restaurant, but then I stopped in my tracks. There was a small light inside the closed china store. I took a few steps closer and could now see through the window of the darkened store that someone was standing inside holding high a candelabra with 3 lit candles. In the other hand, butler style, he was holding a tray with a champagne bottle and 3 glasses. Don't lose focus, everybody. At this point, Frank said, all casualness, "Oh, look, the store you liked is still open. Want to go in?" As he was entering the store, he was beaming like a little boy. He had arranged for the store to be open and the champagne to be ready for us. The proprietor set the candelabra down and poured champagne for the 3 of us. As we sipped champagne, Frank invited me to buy any champagne that I liked. The china I liked turned out to be Lin Chase Winterbirds, and it cost roughly 3 times more than I'd ever spent on china in my life. When I saw the price, I was shocked. Frank then asked me how many place settings I'd like, and because the price was so much more than I was expecting, I thought I should be modest in my request. 4 would be wonderful, I said from the heart. Frank turned to the store manager and said, "The lady says she would like 12. Please ship them to the address." Ladies and gentlemen, when I started speaking with you, I made you a promise that I would stop at 7:15, and I'm beating my record by 30 seconds. Thank you all for coming. I love you. I am available to sign copies for you. I'll autograph it to whoever you want, so for yourself or a gift, and the profits do go to 2 very, very wonderful organizations that do a lot of good for mankind. And Mitzi now shuts out. Thank you.